RTV Soap News and Spoilers today summarizes the stories that happened in the past week, June 6th to June 9th, 2023. This video is for those who missed out, but the story happened in Salem this past week, before entering the new week for June 12th. Thank you for your support so we can continue to make videos like this for you, Days of Our Lives fans on Peacock. As viewers also know, the DNA results determine who is the father of the baby Nicole's pregnant in the womb. We also saw the moment how sad Eric was when he learned he wouldn't have the chance to be a father again. Meanwhile, EJ was overjoyed and triumphant with this news. We also witnessed the moment EJ hugged Nicole in his arms. Eric looked at EJ, exclaiming that this will change everything. Nicole's smile faded as she agreed to that. This proves in the heart of Nicole's desire for Eric to be the father of the baby. Meanwhile, EJ excitedly wondered if they would share the news or keep it to themselves. But Nicole prevented this action of EJ because she's still in the dangerous period of pregnancy, because there's not a possibility that Nicole will not be pregnant to full term. EJ understands but advises her not to worry too much, because he will try to be with her all the time. EJ promises to shake the heavens and the earth to make sure Nicole has a full-term pregnancy. He tells her he loves her and kisses her, while Nicole is quite upset and worried. Talking about Eric after knowing the results, he came to Sloan with a sad and disappointed face. Eric tells Sloan that he's not the father of Nicole's child. Sloan couldn't deny that it was that she wanted to hear, but she knew he was hurting. But we all know this is the result of completely incorrect. Maybe Eric still has a chance to father the baby, because Sloan was lying. She wiped her own cheek instead of Eric. In the present, she tells Eric that he is everything she ever wanted, so she doesn't want that baby to be Eric's. Speaking of the story regarding Dimitri, he made a nice appearance at the DeMera mansion and had a rather unexpected encounter with Kristen. They both know about each other from before. Both quarreled about Almanian peacock capers with her grandson. However, Megan successfully stopped this quarrel when she released a statement that she wanted Kristen and Dimitri to get married. Megan points out that Kristen and Dimitri are not related by blood, and this can also happen in the DeMera clan. Megan explains that Dimitri will have a sizable amount of money from von Leschner on the condition that he get married when he turns 40. However, both Dimitri and Kristen oppose the idea. Therefore, they will have to find a very special person for Dimitri to marry, or else they will not get that huge amount of money. And the person Megan identified could be Gwen. Megan had the idea just now when Gwen wanted an interview involving Dimitri. Here, Megan is quite surprised to know that Gwen and Kristen know each other. She begins to notice Gwen and wants Gwen to become Dimitri's woman. Megan calls Gwen successful, smart, and beautiful, and is well suited to be Dimitri's woman, so Megan orders her son to find a way to seduce Gwen. Then we see Dimitri agree to talk to Gwen. Megan suggests a nice conversation over tomorrow's dinner. Gwen requested lunch to meet the deadline. Gwen shook hands with von Leschner. He asks her to call him Dimitri, and Megan thinks it was a pretty enjoyable lunch. Megan wants Dimitri to marry Gwen. Gwen only wanted Dimitri to inherit what was rightfully hers. So love grows. The more the better. Dimitri's face showed displeasure. Megan points out that he needs to be married for a last year. If he gets married fake, he won't get a dime. Megan says she doesn't have to be smitten. He just needs to bring out Gwen's charm and romance a bit. Megan mused that the fake marriage was worth a huge fortune Dimitri would receive, and she reminds him that she's made a lot of sacrifices for him over the years. He can pay her back by seducing Gwen so they can get all that adorable money. Dimitri is back in a suit and tie. He wondered how he could convince a reporter who didn't know he was marrying him. Megan says Gwen is yearning for a new man in her life. Kristen suggests that she should rekindle her pain when Xander uses and abuses her. Megan gives him a file on Gwen before he arrives for the interview. Meanwhile, Gwen gives Leo this exciting news, and she tells him that Dimitri will interview her tomorrow. Gwen anticipates getting the scoop of the century from Dimitri. But is it going to be okay if Leo is someone who knows how well Dimitri is? He will stop Gwen before she enters this love affair. Speaking of the story regarding Abe, people are still looking for him, while Abe is staying in Whitley's shabby apartment and watching classic movies. Does it look like Abe is trying to recover his memories when he has a feeling this apartment is not his home, and he's not sure whether Whitley is his wife, as she claims? However, Whitley tries to make Abe feel confident. She tries to make him feel better with a stuffed animal, but he asks her not to. She urges him to give it time and everything will be back to normal. Then, when Abe returned to the TV and saw information regarding Colin Bedford, Whitley turned off the TV. She doesn't think Abe should hear about her attacker. Plus, Abe doesn't feel comfortable sharing a bed with her because he doesn't miss her. She suggested arranging a sofa bed for the time being. They have a lifetime to snuggle into their marriage bed. Abe faked a smile but turned into a grimace. After waking up, Abe tells Whitney that she is different in his dreams. He rubbed his aching head and asked her to turn on the TV. When she reminds him to stay away from the news, he angrily asks, "Are you my mother or are you my wife?" She said she would have to monitor his post-concussion mood swings. He took the remote control himself. When Abe couldn't get the cables working, Whitley lied that she couldn't afford the bills. Abe asked him if she had a job. She says she's retired, but he used to own Marshall's ice cream. That brought up the vaguest memory in Abe. She said she could watch 15 years of her favorite shows on videotape before leaving for work. She warned him not to open the door, especially to the police, because its attacker was posing as a person. That's why when Raffi showed up at the Whitley's door, Abe didn't open the door for him. Raffi screams that he's a cop and needs to talk to Whitley. Abe recognized the voice, then turned to Whitley to warn him about opening the door to the police. Abe hesitated and didn't open the door, causing Raffi to leave. Abe feared that his attacker had just been there. He needed to figure out how to protect himself, but he had a headache, and when he did, a news bulletin about the 2008 mayoral election came out. They go to live at Carver's headquarters. Abe realized that he found himself giving his acceptance speech at the tavern. "That's me," he wailed. "I'm the mayor." What will he do with Whitley? Will Abe remember everything and realize Whitney is faking it? Speaking of Whitley, her current patient is Paulina. When she walks into the ward and realizes that person is Paulina, Abe's woman. The stunned nurse was about to leave, but Paulina stopped her. She hung up and thanked Whitley for looking after Abe while he was there. She doesn't know that they would do without her. Whitley spoke of the joy of caring for Abe and the horror of Colin's alleged kidnapping. Paulina announces that her Colin is not the kidnapper. She cried because she knew that she wouldn't ever see her husband again. Whitley wrapped her comforting arms around her. But is it a secret to keep Paulina and Whitley? Will Paulina realize that Whitley is the woman holding Abe? Also, last week we saw Tripp back in Salem. Tripp explaining that Joey was in the process of getting repairs and was also staying with his girlfriend. Also, he went home for her, but Whitney is now connecting with Johnny and they've made up. Then Johnny answered Wendy's call. He said that he was staying with Chanel and he didn't have time to explain anything more when he hung up the phone, making Wendy feel depressed. And when Tripp was prepared food at the apartment, Wendy announced to Johnny that couldn't come because he was with Chanel. What will this relationship be like when Wendy and Johnny have so many problems? Who will Wendy choose? All of these stories took place in the past week. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye and see you in the next videos.